Well, good morning, everybody. Let's go with the third and last of our formative sessions called the European Heritage as an Educational Resource. In this second session of today, we are going to listen to the rest of the students that participated in the Erasmus experience 2 years ago. We are going to listen to them talking about all the fantastic things that they experienced when they went to Vimmerby and when our Swedish partners came here. Experiences such as going to Toledo and visiting the city and those kind of things. We are going to listen to 6 students. Their names are Andrés Patón, Víctor Zamora, Alba María Cruz, Alicia Carrasco, Inés Marín y Jesús Javier Fernández. Okay, let's start with our first student. His name is Víctor Zamora.
Good morning, everybody. As we saw yesterday, during this trip we did many different activities, and today some of us are also going to explain the ones we found most interesting and rewarding. What I'm talking about today was also absolutely new for me. To be honest, I had never taken a cooking knife or a pen in my whole life. My culinary experience was just preparing some milk or maybe cereals in the microwave, and I was really used to having everything prepared at home. So I was a bit nervous when I was told that we were going to have to prepare a complete menu almost on our own. Before the cooking day, I was also shocked when I found out that my Swedish mate was preparing the food for the family. He was just 17. How was this possible? Maybe this one was one of the hugest cultural changes for me, and I must admit that he cooked as a chef. Coming back to the cooking activity, my group was told to prepare a meatloaf with onion and garlic sauce. I had to chop the onion, so I tried to do it on my own. Because of this, I spoiled the onion and the pieces couldn't be used, because they were too big. So after this, a super kind Swedish student taught me the proper way of doing this. So I was amazed with that way of chopping the onion, and I've used it several times after that. What I liked the most was that we had the chance to touch all the ingredients. As you can see in this photo, we could manipulate all the ingredients, and I had the chance of enjoy the cooking world. I don't remember the second dish well because I didn't take part in its preparation. But you can have a look at this photo. Could we come back to the previous photo? Come back to the previous photo, please. Okay, so I don't remember what the second dish was because I didn't take part in its preparation. Then we did the dessert, a lovely piece of cake with yam. Then, having all the food prepared, the best part of the day was when our teachers, the Swedish students, and the Swedish cooks, we enjoyed our food. Generally, what the people liked most was the first dish, but it is not because I took part in its preparation, but I must admit that it was absolutely delicious. But personally, for me, the best one was the dessert. Once we had finished eating, we did the washing up. Personally, I washed some material we used, and of course, it was the least we could do. To sum up, this was an unforgettable activity that opened my mind. Since then, I've started to get into this my interesting world and cooking. And although I'm not still an awesome chef, who knows what will happen in the future. So well, now my partner Alicia is going to talk. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alicia, and I'm going to talk about the trip we took to Toledo. We had the opportunity to visit another World Heritage Site declared in 1984 and establish a comparison with Cuenca. The term World Heritage Site is very important because it gives the city, which is declared as it, more tourism and more money, as well as a better international position. In addition, its purpose is to value the history and culture of the place, which is declared a World Heritage Site. We woke up super early so that we could spend the more time possible in Toledo. We went by bus and got there around 10:30. In this journey, we weren't just the ones who were participating in the Erasmus project. We also had the pleasure to count on Jesus. He's a teacher from our school who knows a lot of interesting things about Toledo. Before entering Toledo, we went to a hill where we saw the entire city as well as its famous buildings like the Alcázar or the Cathedral, as you can see in the picture. After we went down the hill, we went straight to the ancient part, more specifically to Zocodover, one of the most touristic parts of Toledo. On our way to go there, Jesus explained us the architecture of the city and the mixture of the three religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, that lived there 1,000 years ago. This picture shows the famous Puerta del Sol, a medieval door built in the 11th century, which is the most ancient door to enter the city. It's called that due to the fact that in the 16th century they painted the sun and the moon in the middle of the medallion. Zocodover is a square where in the past was situated a street market where people used to buy groceries, animals, and species. Its name came from the Arabian word Zocodover, which means the beast market. Nowadays, this market has been replaced by restaurants and souvenir shops. After a quick look, we moved towards the Cathedral of Toledo, a Gothic cathedral situated in the center of the ancient city, considered to be the most beautiful city of Spain. Sorry, Cathedral of Spain. Before getting inside, we had a little break where we ate a snack to recharge our batteries and continue our tour. The outside is totally different from our cathedrals, despite being both of them Gothic. However, when we got inside, we figured out that they are quite similar. When we got out, it was lunchtime already, and we got back to Zocodover, where we had established our meeting point. Most of us decided to stay there and ate our lunch together. It was lovely to see how everybody shared their food as well as funny stories. When we finished lunch, and everyone was ready, we headed on to the Santa Maria Museum, and what impressed us the most was that inside the museum was an incredible cloister. There we could admire La Anunciación de la Virgen, a painting from El Greco, a famous Greek painter who is really relevant and who had so much importance in Toledo in past times. It was around 6 p.m. and we were a little bit tired, but we had to move on to our last destination, Santa Maria la Blanca Synagogue. To conclude this fantastic journey, we decided to take a picture in the monastery of San Juan de los Reyes to commemorate the end of this great and educational trip. And now I'm giving the floor to my friend Andres. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Andres, and I'm going to talk about one of my favorite experiences in this trip. From my point of view, one of the best places we visited in this exchange was Segorriga's archaeological park, as you can see in the photograph. Segorriga is well known for being one of the best preserved Roman cities in Spain, so it's a perfect place to learn more about our European heritage. Well, the day started at 7:30. My new friend Jihad, that was my partner, and I went to Afonso Octavo High School to wait for the bus. When we were there, we started to talk with our student mates and classmates because all of our mates was invited to spend the day with us, and I was delighted that everybody got along. When we arrived in Segorriga, we saw a documentary that explained us about the city, how living there was in ancient times, and the project as well as excavations that have been implemented. After that, we dedicated time to get to know some of Roman culture in a small museum. Later, we had a guided visit in which we explored all the park. Two of my favorite places were the amphitheater and the circus. It was so crazy to think that not so long ago, real Roman gladiator standing there. Also, I can remember that when we finished this guide tour, we participated in a new and original game called Gincana. Their groups were made randomly, so we mixed with everybody. I can't remember exactly how many groups we were, maybe 6 or 7. And in each group, we were like 10 members. In this new game, our new knowledge would be tested. And one thing I really liked was that we had to use our phones and use the shared account of Instagram, Unidos por el Patrimonio Europeo, to win the activities. I reckon that it is always a perfect idea to relate cultural trips with new technologies. You were given a clue. The game consists in that you were given a clue and you had to photograph iconical places and tools and post them in the account. To be honest, I didn't remember who won, but I could remember the fun we were having while we were resolving these enigmatic questions and making selfies in the correct places. Without a shadow of a doubt, it was a fantastic morning, and I learned a lot from our heritage. Definitely, it was a unique experience. Now, my partner Alba is going to talk.
Hi everybody, I'm Alba and I'm going to talk about my experience in Sweden. The gincana we did in the Astrid Lindgren World Park was only one of the experiences that we enjoyed in our Erasmus mobility in Sweden. This Erasmus has allowed us to grow personally, to discover a new European culture and to live with teenagers like us, sharing with them our language, traditions and knowledge. This unforgettable experience has also let me improve my level of English and social skills, which are essential these days. That afternoon, after having visited the Mimervis Museum, we went shopping to the main street in order to buy some souvenirs for our host family and our family. Then we wait for our mates in the canteen of the school. Some of us were invited to eat the fika, which was a traditional sweet Swedish used to eat after lunch. When our mates finished their class, we left the school and set off for the theme park. During the walk, I remember I was talking with two girls from Afghanistan who had arrived to Sweden a year ago. I was surprised with their English pronunciation and their history too. They told me that music, art, and in general culture was what had saved in the worst moment when they had to escape from the war. We arrived to the park and teachers set up 6 groups in which were Spanish students, Swedish students, and the new 2 students from Afghanistan. The teachers explained us the rules of the gincana. We had to find out clues, take a photo of them, and send them through a WhatsApp group. My group was saved by 2 Swedish girls, Engla and Clara, 2 Spanish girls, Lara and I, and we didn't win, but we really enjoyed the activity. Our best and favorite moment, without a shadow of a doubt, was the spare time we had after the gincana, when we walked to the little streets of Vimervi with our friends. We visited the Pipi Calzaslargas house, which was my favorite part of the park. We also played in a zone where everything was huge. In the evening, we came back to the school where we celebrated a pizza party. Later, it was the moment to hand over the prizes of the activities we had participated in. Lydia, the serious teacher, told us a few words, thanking us our participation in that fantastic Erasmus. Moreover, she taught us a traditional Swedish dance that I still remember. In the farewell, we promised to meet again. One of our best experiences had finished. Now it's time to Ines.
Hello, I'm Ines, and I'm going to talk about the excursion we made to the mountains here in Cuenca. When I say mountains, I mean what we call serranía, the appropriate name, that is, a succession of different landforms. This one in particular is one of the largest in the Iberian system and includes a natural park since 2007, the confluence of the rivers Cuervo, Tajo, and Júcar, and many routes to get lost among the tall pines and steep rocks. The area we visited is near Tragacete, one of the most mountainous villages in Cuenca. So, after our first morning of getting to know each other, we got on the bus. We had just had lunch and the ride was a bit rough, but that didn't stop our foreign mates from enjoying the spectacular scenery, very different from what they were used to. We went with our 2 teachers, Nuria and Marta, and that day another of our high school teachers named Pablo came with us too. He teaches technology, but loves nature, animals, and hiking, so he was the perfect guide. As we went up the hill, the heat and fatigue began to show, but thanks to the small stops to observe the landscape and Pablo's explanation about the fauna and flora, it became much more enjoyable. Almost at the top, we took a group photo, and we had a snack sitting on the ground. The sun was still warm enough, but it was pretty windy, so we decided to set off again to reach our goal. When we finally arrived, the view surprised us. It consisted of a rock wall with a really dark entrance, a cave. Pablo told us that it was inhabited by bats, and at that hour they would still be sleeping. But the biggest surprise was when he said we could go in. People started to get excited. We all wanted to see it. With caution and following our teacher's instruction, we began to descend through the small entrance. At first, we had to bend down to get through without hitting our heads, almost crawling. The ground was quite muddy, and we soon started to sleep, but the adventure couldn't stop. When the first in line reached the depth, we heard the splashing of their footsteps. It was clear that there were water, but we didn't know how much. Because it was dark, we moved slowly, keeping close to each other, until we had to stop. We couldn't see much under our feet. The heavy smell was very unpleasant, and there were more and more puddles. In spite of the difficulties, we were able to see several groups of bats hanging from the ceiling. When we returned to the surface, some of the bolder ones down there had smacked their clothes, hands, and even their faces. We cleaned ourselves as best as we could, and seeing our shoes covered in a sticky, smelly substance, we guessed there was more than just mud on the ground. The descent was faster since we were tired and wanted to get to Cuenca as soon as possible. By the time we arrived at the bus, it was already getting dark. The ride back was pretty quiet, and I'm sure more than one fell asleep. However, when we were about to say goodbye, someone suggested going for a drink, and our tiredness suddenly disappeared. Without a doubt, it was the best day to start that wonderful experience.
Thank you. Hello everybody. Thank you all the Swedish people and Lydia that are here with us. We hope that everybody has enjoyed all these presentations of our students. I don't know if any of your students, Lydia or whoever who is here, because there are lots of participants in these sessions. I don't know how many. ¿Cuántos tenemos? 30 participants, so it's full with people. So I don't know, Lydia, if any of your students want to ask something to our students. Do you have any question?
You can feel free to ask questions now if you have any. I'm talking to my students now. They all speak English that well, I'm thinking. But I first wanted to say thank you for the wonderful presentations. You never cease to amaze me. Each day it gets better. So well done, Spanish students. Your presentations have been really lovely all these days. It was a pleasure to be part of it and to remember all the events and experiences that we had together. Kind of, it brings up the memories back alive, and it's really, really nice.
Okay.
I don't know if my students maybe have any questions about the travel itself. I know that some of them are definitely interested in traveling and seeing Cuenca, and not only Cuenca, but our other also school project that we have going on right now. But I think I have a question for the Spanish students.
Okay.
What is the one thing that they took with them from Sweden? Like one memory or maybe one experience, like Victor said at the beginning, his cooking maybe improved after that. What about other students? Do they have any other experiences that they picked up from Sweden that they continued with after this trip, so that Erasmus expanded their skills in some way, not only their language skills, but also some other skills?
Okay. So, okay. Who wants to answer? Yeah. In English, please.
I think they can also do it in Spanish. It's
Okay. As you,
understand if you speak slowly.
one of us or two. Okay. I think that Andres is going to tell you something about his experiences on one thing that he acquired from the trip.
Oh, lovely.
Not only the language, but all kinds of things. Okay.
La verdad es que fue un viaje bastante bonito, y a mí lo que más me gustó sobre todo fue llevarme muy bien con mi compañero Jihad, y lo que más aprendí de él, pues quizá que al final todo el mundo somos iguales, no importa realmente en dónde vives, ni el dinero que tengas, ni color de piel, ni nada por el estilo. Así que puedo decir que lo que más bonito fue que me llevé nuevos amigos, nuevas experiencias, y creo que ya.
Está muy bien, por cierto.
Sí.
Sí, y dime si tenéis contacto todavía, Jihad y tú.
A ver, la última vez que nos hablamos fue hace un par de meses, pero en cualquier momento nos podemos hablar como si fuese hace un año o dos el viaje.
Vale.
Cristina, por favor. Cristina. Ya, gracias. No, es que había compartido su pantalla. Gracias.
Estaba bien compartiendo la pantalla.
Vale, sí.
Bueno, ¿alguno
¿Más
más?
preguntas o alguien quiere contestar ahora mismo?
Venga, ¿qué os trajisteis del viaje, de vuestra participación en Erasmus? porque tenemos que animar a
Educativo.
los otros alumnos que están participando en el proyecto Erasmus que estamos realizando en este momento, que sabéis que tiene que ver con la mitología nórdica y la mitología latina, y estamos trabajando pues, con Vinervi, que es nuestro socio forever, con un centro italiano, ¿vale? Venga, contadnos, Alba.
Bueno, yo lo primero que me traje una amiga porque yo sigo hablando con Engla prácticamente todas las semanas y de hecho queremos volver a reencontrarnos cuando la pandemia pase. Entonces eso es lo primero, y luego además pues el inglés, que viéndote allí te tienes que comunicar con la familia sí o sí, y me enseñó un montón. Solo en una semana aprendí muchísimo, y además todas las experiencias de los viajes a Calmar, tanto aquí como a Toledo, que habiendo estado en Toledo yo aprendí cosas nuevas, y también la ciudad de Calmar, que me encantó, es totalmente diferente a las que hay aquí en España, y yo creo que es muy enriquecedor conocer nuevos países y nuevas ciudades.
Nuevas ciudades y nuevos amigos.
Sí.
Y en tu caso estamos viendo que casi va a ser para toda la vida.
Sí, ojalá.
Muy bien.
Además que ya le gustaba Suecia antes de ir.
Sí.
Alba nos convenció, aparte
Nos
de
convenció.
una chica estupenda.
Sí, esa era una de mis preguntas también que quería preguntar. Las expectaciones sobre Suecia antes de venir y después de venir.
Pues
¿Era lo mismo o no?
Te hemos puesto el micrófono en Alba, es que ella especialmente quería visitar Vinervi.
es que yo desde pequeña veía a Pipi y siempre le decía a mi madre que quería ir a Suecia, y cuando me vino esta oportunidad, pues sin pensarlo, participé y nada, y me encantó, y claro que superó mis expectativas.
Además, en la entrevista que le hicimos a Alba, nos contó casi la vida de Astrid Lindgren, los libros, o sea, llevaba una preparación absoluta, o sea que ella era muy fan ya desde antes.
Muy fan.
Sí, sí.
Que reparto el micro. Venga, voy a aparecer, Diego, por aquí a esta. Esa. Acércate un poco. A ver, tus expectativas, venga.
¿Mis expectativas?
Ya.
Vale.
Antes de ir al viaje, ¿por qué quisiste participar en este Erasmus, en este proyecto?
Bueno, pues yo participé porque me gusta muchísimo viajar, y además es una oportunidad que nos dio el instituto que nunca antes pues, se había dado, y me parecía muy importante participar. Y gracias a Dios entré y me encantó Suecia. Yo no conocía Suecia y me enamoré del país, de la gente, de la cultura. Y gracias a este viaje también, pues, además de bueno, pues mejorar mi nivel de inglés, también he conocido a personas pues, maravillosas, y también pues me he también como evaluado como persona, ¿no? Y he podido pues crecer como persona gracias también a este viaje, porque quieras que no estás solo, aunque estás con tus compañeros y tus profesoras, pero estás solo y tienes que buscarte tú un poco las castañas del fuego, ¿no? Sacártelas un poco, así que...
Y yo tengo una pregunta, Lidia, para ellos. ¿Y sobre patrimonio que habéis aprendido de Suecia? A ver si llega nuestro micrófono, y si no te levantas no pasa nada. Venga. Hay que cambiar, si es que no llegan los micrófonos. Sobre patrimonio, ¿habéis descubierto un patrimonio diferente al nuestro, al que estáis acostumbrados?
Pues a ver, yo creo que evidentemente sí, porque los paisajes allí eran muy distintos a los que hay aquí. La verdad es que me quedé con el recuerdo de que allí el medio ambiente es muy importante y se cuida mucho, y eso, las ciudades también cambiaban, y sí, creo que se le da la importancia que se merece a ese aspecto.
Víctor. A ver, ponte ahí delante.
Pues sí,
Víctor, ¿estás preparando albóndigas cada día ahora o qué?
Pues hablando sobre patrimonio y valores, he de decir que este viaje me ayudó mucho, sobre todo a independizarme, sobre todo en ese aspecto de la comida. Ahora por lo menos preparo algún plato. Antes, ya os digo, tenía pues la costumbre, yo creo que mucha gente aquí en España también la tiene, de, por así decirlo, vivir a mesa puesta.
¿Y cómo era eso en Suecia? ¿Cómo funcionaba en la casa?
Claro, a mí, como comentaba, me chocó mucho porque muchas veces los padres estaban trabajando y el mismo Axel se ponía a prepararme cualquier tipo de plato. Y claro, yo no podía concebir que una persona tan joven tuviera una variedad... Claro, una variedad culinaria y claro, eso pues cambió mi... Vamos,
Eso fue muy chocante.
sí, fue muy chocante para mí, cambió mi modo de, ya os digo, de concebir este mundo y claro, y no solo en el ámbito culinario, sino independencia a la hora de tanto lavar la ropa y manejar una casa, que demuestra que no tienes por qué ser adulto ni nada por el estilo para poder organizarte. Sí, sí, totalmente diferente.
Aquí los hijos de las familias están
Claro.
cuidadísimos hasta el último
Exacto,
detalle.
sí, 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 sí.
Y allí te tienes que valer.
Y allí, como comentaba Alicia, te tienes que sacar tú las castañas del fuego y es una mentalidad totalmente distinta.
Sí, es algo que todos dicen que es una cultura diferente cuando se trata de esas cosas, porque eso era también nuevo para mí a venir a Suecia, porque yo también, como en España, vengo de un país donde los padres o la mamá prepara la comida y nosotros nos solo sentamos y esperamos y entonces que ella lo resuelva todo, ¿no? Pero en Suecia eso no es el caso, es que tú estás... tomando tu parte desde el principio, desde muy jovencito y pequeñito, en la preparación de la comida y otras obligaciones que tienes en la casa, y no solo una persona, la mamá o alguien más, los padres que lo hacen. Tú también tienes que dar tu tiempo y ayudar en esa manera. Eso me pareció algo muy, muy bueno para la independización, como dijiste, ¿no?
De verdad que aprendieron muchísimo en ese sentido. A ver, tenemos algunos grupos de alumnos en el instituto conectados. Está el grupo de Baismay, de María Pilar Rojo. Quizá tengan alguna pregunta para hacerte a ti, Lidia, o a los chicos, porque ya que estás con nosotros pueden aprovechar si tienen interés de conocer algo de otro país, de otra cultura. Igual te pueden preguntar hasta cuántos idiomas eres capaz de hablar. Díselo, por favor. Yo es que estoy alucinada con ese tema. Es que habla muchos idiomas y el sueco lo aprendió en ¿cuánto tiempo? Un año nada más.
Sí, pero el sueco no es tan difícil como pensáis.
¿Y que no? ¿Qué va? Imposible. Dice que no. Bueno, vamos a ver si tienen alguna pregunta en eso y si no continuamos nosotros. Chicos, ¿me escucháis?
Sí, me parece que en la clase de María Pilar vi una mano arriba.
Sí, ¿verdad? ¿Hay una mano? María Pilar Rojo.
Pilar Rojo, tienes que abrir el micro.
Pero
ahora.
¿Ahora? Estará colocándose. Ahora.
Pero no se oye.
El micro.
Lo tiene abierto.
El micrófono, Pilar.
Pilar, abre el micro.
Abajo a la izquierda.
Callaos.
Ahora.
Hala, venga, vamos.
A ver, ¿queréis preguntar algo, chicos? O por lo menos saludar a vuestros compañeros que están al otro lado. Aunque no lo parezcan, están muy animados y querrán participar en próximos Erasmus.
Exactamente. Bueno, yo les voy a preguntar exactamente eso. Que participar en estos proyectos supone implicarse, gastar tiempo, ser muy generoso, desarrollar actitudes de tolerancia, solidaridad, empatía y saber escuchar. No todo siempre sale bien, hay que tener a veces mucha paciencia, y lo digo porque si tenéis intención de presentaros alguna entrevista para hacer algún intercambio Erasmus, todas estas cosas las tenéis que tener en cuenta, ¿vale? No todo es hablar perfecto inglés, que también, sino que hay que desarrollar otras cualidades, que son imprescindibles, esas llamadas skills soft, que nadie las tiene en cuenta y que para este tipo de proyectos son imprescindibles. No sé si estará Lidia de acuerdo y Marta conmigo.
Sí, totalmente.
La tolerancia, el saber escuchar, la paciencia, el emplearse a fondo cuando te piden algo, el espíritu emprendedor hay que tenerlo a tope. Entonces, bueno, esas cosas hay que saberlas exponer y hay que saber venderse también, ¿eh? Como hizo Alba, que se vendió estupendamente. Entonces, esas cosas, pues son así, ¿vale? Que parecía que había una mano levantada en tu clase, Pilar, ¿no?
Pues este es el momento que tenéis para preguntar, chicos.
Ahí tenemos la pregunta,
A ver si me ordenas.
¿Allí coméis también tortilla de patatas?
No me lo creo.
¿Tortilla de patatas, preguntado?
Sí.
No, había otras comidas. ¿Me queréis decir alguna cosa? Venga, pues te van a decir lo que allí comen como típico, así muy tradicional.
Generalmente son dos.
Marta, ¿quieres responder tú quizás? O...
Bueno, Marta, sí, que hable Marta. A ver, nosotros, como ya ha comentado Alba, nosotros tuvimos la oportunidad de tomar un fika, que es como, era como un té o café, y luego tomabas un rollo de canela, que estaba muy rico. Y luego también hay una especie de pescado sueco que nos dijeron de probar, pero que está malísimo y que huele fatal, pero que eso pues no lo probamos evidentemente, pero también eso es típico de Suecia.
Que no sabemos cómo se...
Se llama surströmming en sueco.
Eso es. Y eso.
Pero sobre todo el horario.
Sí, bueno, el horario de comidas, la verdad es que es bastante diferente al nuestro. Nosotros estamos acostumbrados a comer a las 2:30, 3 de la tarde si estamos en el instituto, incluso un poquito más tarde, y ellos a las 12 o así ya estaban comiendo y cenando pues un poco más pronto, porque ellos luego después de la cena pues hacían otras actividades.
Sí, aquí nadie se va a la cama después de la cena, ¿no?
No.
A ver.
Sí, eso es.
¿Hay alguna otra pregunta?
¿Alguna otra pregunta, chicos?
Eva, ¿tenéis alguna pregunta?
¿La clase de Eva Ismail tiene alguna pregunta para hacerle a los compañeros? Incluso
Hola, ya se están saludando ya. Hola. Hola. Venga, sí,
Vea, que hay alguna pregunta por ahí, va. Sin miedo. Venga.
¿Cuántos idiomas habla la profesora de Suecia?
¿Cuántos idiomas hablas, Lidia?
Vale, ahora digo que es 5. Antes era 5,5 y desde hace algunos años eran 6, pero es que olvidé uno de ellos a aprender otro y eso es que pasa a menudo, pero sí, 5 en ese momento.
Dilos.
¿Cuáles son, Lidia?
Mi lengua materna, que es croata. Después soy profesora de inglés y de español, entonces que tenemos 3. Después en la escuela también aprendí alemán, son 4. Y ahora sueco es el 5.
And just a question from me, how many languages then do you learn at school or taught at school?
In Sweden?
Yes.
So our students have English as obligatory course in high school, and then they also have to choose another language, which we call a modern language, and there they can choose between Spanish, German, or French.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I have to tell you, Spanish students also will have to be very happy to hear that Spanish is the most popular of all the modern languages taught in Sweden. So most students in Sweden take Spanish as a modern language.
Claro, pero ya hemos descubierto por qué les encanta el español. Porque les gusta venir a la costa española, que nos lo dijeron ¿verdad? Vuestros webs, los que pegaban. Que como les gustaba venir a España a veranear, pues tenían muchísimo interés de hablar español. Y por eso aprenden en su instituto español.
Vienen bastante, porque varios estudiantes de los que vinieron que participaron en Erasmus ya conocían España de varias veces. Sí. Incluso tienen pisos o residencias aquí, ¿verdad?
En la Costa del Sol.
En la Costa del Sol, también en Canarias.
Sí.
O sea que les encanta España.
Sí, muchísimo.
Vale. ¿Alguna pregunta más?
¿Despedimos la conexión? ¿Alguna cosita más?
Any other question, Eva? Do you have any other question for Lidia?
Oye, me gustaría despedir, saludar a los chicos de Lidia, si me los pones, no podemos ver a los chicos. ¿Hoy ya se han tenido que marchar?
Sí, nosotros terminamos nuestra clase de español en 2 minutos, entonces que los chicos tienen que marcharse porque tienen otra clase después.
Vale, de acuerdo. Bueno, pues
Pues
nada.
muchísimas gracias por
Lidia.
participar, a ti Lidia, y muchas gracias por haber traído a tus alumnos de español. Espero que podamos conocerlos pronto y recibiros aquí, que tenemos muchas ganas de que vengáis.
Sí, nosotros también.
Receiving you here as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Vamos a hacer el descanso largo para todos los que nos estáis escuchando y nos volvemos a ver. No me quiero equivocar. No, no es el descanso largo, perdonar. No es el descanso largo.
We're going to have 5 to 10 minutes now, okay? Because we are waiting. Okay.
No, es a las 11:15, perdonar, es que estamos
aquí.
No, que estamos aquí, 11:15.
¿Tenemos un descanso de 5 minutos?
Sí, 5 minutos, y a las 11:15 volvemos. Vale, perdón, es como me has dicho aquí.
Vale, gracias por todo y nos vemos después.
Venga, nos vemos el cuarto.
Sí.
Hasta luego.
Okay, bye.